Welcome back to the deep dive. Tonight, we're embarking on quite a journey, actually, into one of the most enigmatic and, well, universal human experiences, dreams.
That's right. Every single night, we all drift off into this other world.
But how often do we really stop and wonder what dreams are? Are they just random images our brains cooking up?
Or could they be something more, like a doorway to maybe a higher level of awareness? That's what we're exploring.
Exactly. Our mission for this deep dive is to look at this extraordinary perspective, sometimes called Seth's perspective, which suggests that dreams, and maybe even our waking reality, are fundamentally shaped by our inner thoughts, our energy.
It's a viewpoint that really could open up a whole new way of looking at, well, everything. Not just our dreams, but life itself.
And the source material we're drawing from for this is pretty unique. It comes from the very personal, mind-altering experiences of a woman who really unexpectedly found herself channeling these profound insights.
Yeah, it's quite a story. An ordinary life suddenly encountering the truly extraordinary, and how that didn't just redefine her reality, but ended up offering this comprehensive philosophical framework.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how these revelations didn't come from, academic study or philosophical debate.
Not at all. It was a very direct, very subjective experience, an intimate, firsthand account that then just blossoms into this huge system of thought.
And it really shifts our understanding of creation, consciousness, the whole fabric of the universe.
Completely.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start right at the beginning of this incredible journey with this woman who had zero prior interest in anything like the paranormal, only to have her world just profoundly shaken by a series of dreams.
So our source, it begins with the author, Jane Roberts, talking about something that happened back in 1963. She had this really clear, very disturbing dream.
Unlike anything she'd experienced before, right? Something that just defied any logical explanation she had at the time.
Exactly. And this was pivotal for her, because Jane, before this point, had absolutely no experience with anything psychic, no precognition, nothing like that.
And the dream was about her neighbor, someone she didn't even know well.
Right, Miss Cunningham, a woman she knew only, superficially. Not a close friend, not family, which makes the dream even more peculiar.
So, can you describe the dream? What exactly happened in it?
Okay, so Jane dreamt she was in a hospital, and Miss Cunningham was there, dressed in a black suit. Her eyes were terribly red and swollen, and she was crying, repeating, "Oh my God, I must leave, and I don't want to leave."
Wow.
And the setting was incredibly vivid. She remembered specific details, like a glass-enclosed gift shop in the hospital lobby. It felt completely real.
And what made that dream so unsettling for her? I mean, apart from the content, given she wasn't close to the neighbor, and as she said, she hardly ever remembered dreams anyway.
Precisely. It was just highly unusual for her. It disturbed her so much she actually woke her husband up. Yeah, and she says in the source material she didn't want to remember it. She felt remembering it would give it undue importance.
Huh. Almost like she sensed it meant something she wasn't ready for.
Exactly. That resistance, even refusing to write it down initially, it's a really telling sign of her discomfort. Like, maybe this hints at something more than just a random dream, and that possibility was unsettling, a crack in her normal view of reality.
Okay, so the dream itself was disturbing. But the real kicker, the really interesting part, comes the next morning, doesn't it? What happened when she went over to Miss Cunningham's place?
Yeah, this is where it gets undeniable. The next morning, her TV was broken, phone wasn't working, so Jane decides to borrow Miss Cunningham's phone.
Okay.
She knocks. Miss Cunningham answers immediately, visibly distressed, actually reaching out for Jane, which was totally out of character for her usual reserved self.
Whoa!
And then through tears, Miss Cunningham tells her she just found out she needs double cataract surgery on both eyes. And she was devastated, terrified of losing her sight, her ability to read.
And her eyes.
Her eyes were, in fact, red and swollen, just like in the dream.
Wow. So the dream literally came true in this really specific, uncanny way. But Jane's reaction wasn't just instant acceptance, was it? She tried to explain it away.
Absolutely not. I mean, despite this undeniable match, she actively tried to rationalize it. She told her husband, anyway, she wasn't wearing a black suit, and we weren't in a hospital.
Trying to find the discrepancies to make it make sense in her old framework.
Right. Trying to fit this square peg into the round hole of conventional understanding, maybe attributing it to some subconscious observation she hadn't noticed.
But her husband pointed out something crucial, didn't he?
He did. He countered, maybe, but we hadn't seen her for almost a month.
That's the detail, the nagging detail that just blows the easy rationalization out of the water.
Exactly. And Jane apparently felt annoyed, frustrated by this. She even said, if we could see the future in dreams, think how much harder life would be.
Like she felt the burden of that possibility.
Yeah, she described feeling a small but important rent had been torn in the nature of things, almost a sense of danger. And she actively tried to push the dream out of her mind.
But that experience, even though she dismissed it initially, it was the first real crack, wasn't it? The first whisper from somewhere else.
Definitely. The prelude to something much bigger. Because that first dream, as unsettling as it was really just the beginning.
Right. The source material describes a much more profound, really life-altering experience that happened just a few months later in the autumn of '63.
This was the true turning point, the moment that really pushed her down this unexpected path. Jane woke up one morning with this intense feeling, just knowing she'd had a profoundly significant dream.
But she couldn't remember it.
Couldn't remember the content at all. But the feeling was incredibly strong, persistent, like something huge had happened just below the surface of her conscious mind.
And then that same evening, while she was just, writing poetry, something else happened, something extraordinary.
Yes. She describes it vividly, like in a flash, her consciousness just surged right out of her body.
Right out of her body.
Completely. She felt bodiless, not occupying space like normal. She felt herself mixing with the air outside her window, even resting in a tree leaf.
Wow. Was that scary?
Apparently not. She described it as pure ecstasy, intense insight, an overwhelming sense of connection, of unity with everything.
And she said something like, no present, past, or future. Suddenly, irrevocably, I knew this. What was that knowing? What insight flooded her?
It was just this huge aggregation of new ideas, feelings, images, words, an overwhelming rush of understanding about the fundamental nature of reality. Like the universe just downloaded its secrets straight into her awareness.
She wasn't just observing, she was experiencing these truths directly.
Exactly. And when she came back, returned to her physical body, what was the tangible result? What was left from this incredible bodiless journey?
Right. What happened then?
Her fingers were just scribbling furiously, apparently with a mind of their own. She looked up, realized 3 hours had just vanished in what felt like a timeless instant.
3 hours.
3 hours. And what she had in front of her were 40 pages of these scrawled notes, written automatically. And they had a title.
Which was?
The Material Universe is Idea Construction. And she knew, with absolute certainty, that these ideas, these massive revelations, came directly from that forgotten dream she had had the night before.
So the forgotten dream wasn't forgotten by her deeper self. It contained this blueprint.
Precisely. It confirmed the power of that initial elusive dream experience. It wasn't just a feeling. It was the seed of this entire framework.
Okay, so what started as this strange precognitive dream, it led to this utterly transformative out-of-body state where she knew things about reality. And from that knowing came these 40 pages, like a direct download, titled The Material Universe is Idea Construction. That title alone is just so provocative. It really is the cornerstone of this Seth perspective, isn't it? And it frames how dreams might be our doorway to seeing reality differently.
Absolutely. It challenges our most basic assumptions about what's real, suggests reality isn't just out there, separate from us.
But it's deeply intertwined with something inside us, something we actually generate. So let's dig into that framework. What does it tell us about existence itself, starting with the basics?
Okay, so this experience delivered this series of direct definitions that just turned conventional understanding on its head. Let's look at some key ones, because they really build on each other.
Right.
First, energy. It's presented as the absolute fundamental basis of the entire universe, the raw stuff of all creation. Not just a scientific abstraction, but the living essence.
Okay, energy first. Then what about an idea?
Right, an idea here is way more than just a fleeting thought. It's defined as mental energy. Potent, dynamic energy that gets transformed into physical reality by what she called an entity.
And an entity is like our larger self. Our whole consciousness.
Exactly. Your whole self, beyond just the part of you that's focused on listening right now. So your thoughts aren't just stuck in your brain. They're the actual raw material, the blueprint your greater self uses to build your experience.
Wow. Okay, so if an idea is mental energy,
then idea construction is that process in action. The transformation of that idea, that mental energy, into physical reality, bringing thought into form.
Okay, that makes sense. But this next one, space, that sounded really different.
Yeah, this one is truly mind-bending. Space. It's described as where our specific idea constructions do not currently exist in the material universe.
Wait, say that again? Where our constructions don't exist.
Exactly. Think about it. It implies that countless other idea constructions, maybe other realities, other dimensions, other forms of consciousness, are coexisting with us right now, just beyond our usual perception.
So the empty space around us isn't empty at all.
Not according to this. It's just filled with stuff we're not currently tuned into or constructing ourselves.
Yeah.
It completely flips our notion of what nothing is.
That is a huge shift. So what about our own physical bodies in this picture?
Our physical body is seen as the material construction of the entity's idea of itself, expressed within physical attributes. It's not a static thing, but a constantly regenerating manifestation of your deeper self's concept of you.
And the part of us we think of as me day to day.
That's the individual, the part of the larger entity, the whole self, that we're aware of in daily life. The part that's able to express itself and experiment through idea construction right here on the material plane. You, listening now, are the individual aspect of a much vaster consciousness.
And crucially, connecting back to dreams, the subconscious.
Yeah, and the subconscious is defined as a gateway. It's the channel through which ideas flow into the conscious mind, connecting that larger entity with the individual. This is absolutely key for seeing dreams as that bridge, that communication channel.
Wow. Okay, just those basics already turn so much upside down. It really reframes our physical existence. But if bodies are idea constructions, what about something like emotions? How do they fit in?
That's a great question. Because emotion is described as the fundamental driving force. It's the fuel that pushes ideas into construction.
So it's not just a reaction.
No, it's the energy that makes things happen in physical reality.
Yeah.
The engine behind creation. Our feelings aren't just passive, they are active creators.
That is a powerful thought. Our feelings are active creators. What about learning? Or even basic instinct?
Right. So instinct is seen as the minimal capacity for idea construction needed for physical survival. That immediate, unthinking manifestation that keeps an organism going.
Like fight or flight.
Exactly. And learning isn't just memorizing facts. It's the potential to construct new, more complex ideas from existing ones. It's about expanding our creative capacity, our understanding.
And these ideas, they don't just exist alone, right? They group together.
Yes, an idea complex. That's groups of ideas coming together like energetic building blocks to form more complex constructions in material reality.
Like consciousness Legos.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Building these intricate structures. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how even a simple, persistent thought we hold might be contributing to a much larger idea complex, shaping our collective reality, maybe without us even realizing it.
Definitely. Okay, so we have ideas, construction, complexes. What about communication and action?
Communication is defined simply as the exchange of ideas between entities, but happening on a non-material energy plane. A direct, energetic transfer going on constantly beneath our conscious radar.
And action, like me moving my hand.
Simply an idea in motion, manifesting physically. Our senses, then, are the channels through which these ideas project outwards to create the world we experience.
Which means our entire environment
Is the sum total of the idea constructions we surround ourselves with. A direct, tangible reflection of our inner reality.
So this obviously has huge implications for time as well. It's not just linear clock time.
Not fundamentally. Physical time is described as an apparent interval. Just the perceived gap between one idea appearing in material reality and being replaced by another. It's a useful construct for us, but not ultimate reality.
So past, present, future.
Are artificial points we use for convenience. The present is just the point an idea seems to emerge into physical form. The past is the memory of ideas that were physical constructions. And the future is just the apparent interval before an idea gets replaced.
Which implies that, on some deeper level, all moments coexist.
Exactly. And distinct from that is psychological time, the apparent interval between conceiving ideas. A more inner, flexible sense of time not tied to the clock.
Okay, bringing this back. If sleep is this temporary break from material construction where the entity connects with others energetically, then dreams are definitely not just random noise. They become the direct experience of that fundamental energy exchange, a vital bridge between our waking self and that larger reality.
Absolutely. Dreams, in this view, are part of that deeper connection in a less constructed, more fluid state. We interact with a broader reality, other aspects of self, other entities, without the usual filters and limitations.
Which makes Jane's precognitive dream seem less like a freak event.
And more like a natural glimpse through that doorway, a peek into the interconnectedness that's always there.
Okay, so if all matter is idea construction, this must radically change how we see the universe itself, evolution, our bodies. What does the source say about the universe as a whole?
The universe itself is presented almost like a living entity, a vast organism.
A cosmic body.
In a sense, individual cells, which we see as objects, planets, stars, particles, are held together by connective tissue, like air, chemical elements. And this connective tissue is also alive, carrying electrical impulses like a giant nervous system.
Wow.
And there's constant regeneration, constant replacement of atoms and molecules, but the overall shape, the identity, is maintained. It's a unified living system.
So that idea that our skin doesn't separate us but connects us, that's literal in this framework.
It seems so. It suggests the boundaries we perceive are largely conceptual, necessary for our focus, but not the fundamental reality. Every individual idea construction, like your body, is interconnected through this living energy network.
So my thoughts and feelings literally ripple outwards.
That's the implication, affecting everything else. Self and non-self are deeply related, parts of the same design. Everything is idea construction, unique but consistent with the whole. Even the smallest particle affects the entire organization.
Okay, let's connect that back to life, to consciousness. How does this ability to transform energy into ideas and construct them actually drive evolution?
Well, according to this perspective, that ability is the determining factor in an entity's status in the material evolutionary process.
How so?
For simple organisms, think paramecium, amoebas, they receive just a few very vivid ideas and construct them almost instantly, without reflection, purely for survival. Their world is built immediately, without our sense of time or choice.
Just pure reaction, pure construction.
Right. Then you move to more complex organisms, like mammals. They perceive more ideas, so they need other mechanisms like memory. They get a kind of ghost of past constructions to help improve new ones.
And they get a pause.
A brief pause, yes. A dog or a tiger can choose attack or not attack. There's a rudimentary deliberation, a flicker of choice.
And then humans.
Humans have an even wider receptive range, just
Right.
way too many potential ideas flooding in to physically construct every single one immediately.
Information overload.
Exactly. And this, according to the material, led to the development of self-awareness and reasoning primarily as a selection mechanism to help us choose which ideas to focus on and manifest, rather than just reacting to everything.
Okay, so we've covered how everything's idea construction, simple organisms manifest instantly. But then with humans, something shifts fundamentally. This is where our unique sense of self and our perception of time really emerges.
Precisely. Time, for humans, doesn't just pass. The source says it blossoms in the mind. Memory isn't just a flash. It extends vividly behind us and ahead, creating a pathway.
Continuity.
Yes, allowing us to learn continuity, recognize patterns across what we perceive as time. And by manipulating this focused memory, the human ego is born.
The sense of I.
The ego gains the ability to track its own identity through all the impulses, recognize itself even as patterns change, and crucially separate itself from its actions in the material world.
Subject and object.
Exactly. The birth of the I am as the constructor, distinct from the constructions themselves. This gives us conscious purpose, the ability to choose which ideas to project.
So that's an incredible power-conscious purpose choice. But you mentioned a downside earlier. There's a consequence to gaining this distinct I.
Yes, a significant one. The source suggests that at some point, humans began to almost entirely and artificially separate themselves from their own constructions.
We started seeing the world as out there, completely separate.
Right. Instead of seeing it as a manifestation of our collective and individual inner reality. And this fundamental shift led to this deep feeling of alienation from nature and this ongoing search for a first cause or creator outside of ourselves.
Because we forgot.
Because humanity no longer recognized nature, the world, as partly its own creation. We lost touch with that intrinsic connection, that participatory role.
This is such a profound and maybe for many a really radical perspective. It challenges so many core beliefs. What was Jane Roberts' own intellectual reaction? I mean, these ideas were totally new to her, even contrary to her beliefs at the time.
She found them intellectually shocking. It really assaulted her previous worldview. Yet at the same time, she knew with unquestionable certainty that the concepts were correct.
How could she be so sure if it was so shocking?
The sheer intensity, the undeniable directness of the experience made it impossible to deny, even if her rational mind was scrambling to catch up. She talks about how difficult it was to even express this multidimensional knowing in linear words.
bridging that gap between deep inner knowing and everyday language.
Exactly.
So what does all this mean for us listening now? What's the real takeaway, the lasting impact of this kind of incursion of inner reality that started incredibly with a dream?
Well, 7 years after that initial big experience, Jane reflected on its true significance. She concluded that the inner self, this deeper consciousness, can suddenly revitalize the personality at any time.
How?
By opening new ways of perceiving, shattering obstacles that seemed impossible, and just infusing the personality with this torrent of transformative energy. She called it a second birth.
Second birth, like waking up to more of yourself.
Yes, like these sudden geysers that erupt from within, bringing us closer to the very center of our existence, making us more fully alive, more aware.
And connecting that to the bigger picture,
Right.
These experiences start subjectively, inside.
Right. They originate in subjective reality, but they become objectively real, objectively impactful through the sheer power of your force. They push themselves into material certainty.
Which suggests that what we think of as inner, our thoughts, feelings, our dreams, our connection to that larger self, is actually far more potent, far more influential on our outer world than we usually give it credit for.
Absolutely. Our dreams, then, aren't just nightly movies. They are a key part of that inner creative powerhouse, a direct line, potentially, to our most profound capabilities and understanding.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive has really shown us that dreams, far from being just these fleeting, maybe meaningless images, can actually be the initial spark, the thing that ignites a complete reevaluation of reality itself.
Definitely. From that simple, strange, precognitive dream Jane had,
To the profound out-of-body experience and this core revelation, the material universe is idea construction. It really challenges us to look beyond the surface.
and to recognize the active, creative role our own consciousness plays in shaping absolutely everything around us.
It really hammers home that our internal landscape, our thoughts, our feelings, they aren't just passively observing reality.
No, they're active participants in its continuous creation. And that our skin doesn't really separate us, but connects us intricately within this larger, living, energetic universe.
Making our dreams a really crucial part of that energetic conversation, a daily doorway maybe to understanding our deeper reality.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Well, next time you drift off to sleep, or maybe you find yourself caught in a really vivid, maybe inexplicable dream. Perhaps consider you're not just watching a show. Instead, you might be actively tapping into a fundamental level of energy. You might be forging connections with your larger self, with other entities, maybe even consciously or unconsciously constructing a piece of your own reality right there.
It definitely makes you wonder about the incredible power held within your own ideas, doesn't it?
It really does. And the profound significance hidden within your dreams.